So I'm going to be talking briefly about student life at the university. So as was previously mentioned, I study language, culture and communication, which is a postgraduate taught full-time program. So I'm studying on campus, but at the moment it's a bit of a mixed modal approach. So I've got online learning and campus teaching as well. So studying English language and linguistics itself has so many different factors involved. So you've got independent study, you've got a lot of independent study. There are lectures and seminars as you would have in an undergraduate, but I found seminars are really good this year for getting things wrong and having discussions about anything that you don't really understand and making the most of what your tutors know and the time that you have there, because there is a lot of time at the end to go over things by yourself. In saying that, there's a lot of flexibility in exploring options and your own interests through the optional modules. So with my course this semester, a lot of the modules are core, but next semester you get a couple of optional modules to choose from a long list. And some of those examples will be seen on the course program as well when you signed up for the open day. What I love about the department is that it's supportive and friendly, and you can see that when you go into the buildings or when you speak to any of the staff, they care about you and they want you to succeed. The Departmental Society is also around, so if you want to join the ELL Society, they organise things like netball and various other events to make sure that you're all communicating with each other and you get to know other people in the other cohorts as well, so in undergraduates and postgraduate researchers. There are student reps who will be representatives for your department and your cohort, so your year. So I'm a student rep for the postgraduate taught language, culture and communication program. And I've got a few other student reps who have meetings throughout the year to get feedback from everyone about how teaching is going and whether there's anything that the department can do better. So we're all looking at to your best interests. And then if you like statistics, I've got one at the bottom. So for English language and linguistics, the University of Birmingham is in the top 50 in the QS 2020 World University Rankings. I thought it might be useful for you to see actually what my timetable looks like for the moment. So it's a mix of things that you have to do, as in your seminars and personal tutorial group meetings, which is where you meet your personal tutor in a small group of other people from your class, and independent work. So you can see where I do things like seminar prep, when I've got my own sort of career network workshops going on, and when I might do a little bit of part-time work. But there is definitely a lot of other time where you can fit in fun things like society events or volunteering, and you get involved with the Guild of Students to do that, or you can set something up yourself with your housemates. It's definitely up to you how you spend your time. So there's, I think, a lot of potential for you to make the most out of your experience at university, and I think what you put in of the university experience, you get out of it as well. So why should you choose Birmingham? So one of the primary reasons should be to study here. I would suggest looking at the modules that are on offer and whether you are interested in those. The core modules are very important as well, because those will be probably the first things that you go over. So make sure that that aligns with what you want to study and what your interests are. Social activities. So there's a lot going on at Birmingham. We've got Welcome Week, where there are so many activities to try and get you involved in the things to do on campus, societies, Guild of Students, volunteering, various part-time jobs are available. There's loads of support. So I also work, as you would have seen in the last slide, as a student mentor. So if you live in university accommodation in first year, or if you're a postgraduate and you live in university accommodation, you get this whole package of hall reps who organise your events, student mentors who will look out for your well-being, the accommodation site who will take care of anything to do with the accommodation and living in Birmingham itself. You've got well-being support within the university. You've got specialised practitioners. We've got a drop-in for you your well-being, so UOB pause. There's loads of support available here if that's something that you're looking out for. And then opportunities in Birmingham. So I mentioned a few of them already. Some of these will be familiar to you, so things like students' unions, volunteering and jobs. But then Birmingham itself is a very culturally diverse city. So there's a lot to do when you go inside the city centre. I'll start with the Guild of Students. So as a member, as a student at the University of Birmingham, you're automatically a member of the Guild of Students. So this is a students' union that's run democratically by 7 elected officers. There are 250 student groups, societies, and associations. So if you like tea, if you like Harry Potter, if you want a lot of gaming to do in your free time, you can join a student group that does that. And if you can think of something that we don't have, you can make your own student group. There's loads of jobs and volunteering available. So I've put a picture of my team down at the bottom who I work with at the Guild. There's lots of advice and support ranging from first years to final years, and that includes postgraduates as well. And then online, the Guild of Students have this University of Birmingham virtual neighbourhood. And so they try to make everything accessible online at the moment. And it's just an example of how inclusive and how they're trying to think about your best interest and what is good for a student and what students want. So your Guild of Students is here for you. They're your voice and they represent you. So that's something to definitely take in mind and take advantage of when you come to the university. Sports and fitness is a lot, there's a lot to do in sports and fitness. So we've got the gym, there's a 50-meter swimming pool. There are various membership plans available, and you've got bookable courts. I personally go to the gym for classes, so I have a pay-as-you-go voucher system, and there are 200 fitness and sports classes a week that you can join up with. You can also join sports teams and various clubs. So we've got the Birmingham University campus leagues, and then they will run their own training sessions, and you can get involved in wider team sports through the UOB sport group as well. So if sports and fitness is something that you want to get involved in, we've definitely got a lot of facilities and a lot of things available for you to use. I included this because I had a lot of questions when I do campus tours about the gym and how you sign up and memberships. So I thought this was useful. I hope it is. And then I'll include a little bit about the University of Birmingham Student Experience. So I think this is better with a bit of context. I came straight from an undergraduate studying English language and drama at this university. So all the pictures are of the university, but they're of me in my first, second, and final year of my undergraduate. This year's been a little bit different. So some events like Sports Night, Fab and Fresh, and the themed club nights haven't been going ahead this year, but hopefully next year, this is more something that you'll be able to get involved in. However, there's loads of museums, art galleries, and other cultural sites in Birmingham for you to explore. So things like the Icon Gallery, the museum in Birmingham City Centre, New Street, the Bull Ring, Digbeth, Brinley Place, lovely place to go for drinks and a little bit of dinner with your friends or with your housemates. There's loads of live theatre and music as well to attend. So we've got the O2 Academy, loads of concerts could take place. I went to see Freya Ridings, I think last October, and you've got connections to lots of different places. So you can get the train from New Street easily to London, to Leeds, wherever you need to go. So I think that's probably something to consider as well, how easy it is to get back and forth. The university has its own train station as well, so that's only about 7 or 8 minutes from New Street on the train. And if you've got a rail card, you can get a discount on the ticket. There's loads of volunteering and job opportunities, things like canal grappling. There's a picture of me doing that in the middle. If that's something that you are interested in and want to get involved in, pop a question and I'll answer it at the end as well, because I'm very passionate about volunteering myself. So I can definitely recommend and drop a few names of student groups or societies that might fit you and what you want a little bit better. But the reason why I chose the University of Birmingham again is because of the community and the friendship and the sense of belonging that I've established. But to say that I've been able to do that over 2 or 3 years probably says something about what it's done right for me. And in that I haven't wanted to leave as of yet. So I would definitely recommend the University of Birmingham. I am a little bit biased because I do study here. But if you want to ask me any questions, feel free to drop it in the Q&A and I will answer it at the very end. But as I said throughout the presentation, it's your student experience. You get out of it what you put into it. So when you think about studying at the University of Birmingham for a master's program, think about what you want to take advantage of, what facilities there are, what the tutors want you to do and how they want to help you to exceed, whether you want support, whether you want sports, and hopefully the University of Birmingham fits your criteria.
Catherine's taken you through an awful lot of what you need to know already, but you should do this professionally. All I'm going to do, therefore, is give you a quick run through of what the 4 main master's programs that we teach in the department, what they look like, what their content is, how they're structured, and so on. I'll start sharing my screen, I hope, now. Yes, it's to just take you through the content and structure of the 4 programs that we run. I should perhaps preface this, though, with perhaps a rather obvious caveat, that being that as things stand at the moment, of course, things are rather different, and how our programs will be taught in the academic year 2021 to 2022 obviously depends to some extent on what happens with the whole COVID-19 pandemic situation and so on. But let's assume, for the purposes of this short talk, that things return to normal by the autumn of next year, and that we are therefore teaching our programs as normal on the campus from September, October 2021. Okay then, what we have in the campus-based programs is basically four main master's programs. The MA in Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages, commonly abbreviated to the MA TESOL, an MA in Applied Linguistics with TESOL, an MA in Applied Linguistics full stop, and an MA in Language, Culture and Communication, the program that Catherine is currently involved in. Those programs, in very general terms, consist of 6 credit-bearing taught modules. Credit-bearing, we can perhaps come back to if you want to know more about those a little later. Each taught module counts for 20 credits. 3 taught modules taught in the first semester between the end of September, beginning of October until January, and 3 taught in the second semester from early February through till April or thereabouts. So 6 taught modules in all, 20 credits each, 3 per semester, and they are usually, but not always, assessed by 4,000 word essays. There are exceptions. Some modules will be evaluated, assessed via 2 shorter pieces of work. The research methods in Applied Linguistics module, which I'll talk a little bit about in a moment, is assessed via a computerized online timed exam. In addition to the 6 taught modules, you will also the final major part of the program indeed is a research project which is generally started up before you finish the semester 2, and which works towards a 15,000 word master's dissertation, which is submitted early in September. That is done under the supervision of one of the academic members of the department, one of my colleagues in the department, and as I say, submitted early September. So your program is more or less 1 calendar year in length. So you arrive late September 1 year and you finish with the submission of your dissertation project early September the following year. All students, and this is a kind of a school-wide, college-wide, to some extent, I think university-wide requirement, all students on taught postgraduate programs must follow a course in research methodology as one of their 6 credit-bearing coursework modules. Ours is called Research Methods in Applied Linguistics. All of our students must take that course during the 2nd semester. To some extent, it can be seen as preparing you for the dissertation project, which is coming up a little later in the year. So if I can just kind of try and tabulate things, generally speaking, in semester 1, you've got these 3 credit-bearing modules here. I hope you can see my arrow fiddling around. Each of those, in a normal year, if we're teaching in the classroom, what you would have would be something like 2 classes of 2 hours per week, taught over a total period of 8 weeks with breaks, some breaks in the middle. Each of those assessed by a 4,000 word essay or equivalent, or whatever. I've said here term papers and vacation essays. Some coursework assessments would be done before the Christmas break in December, early January. Some would deadlines would be for them to be submitted after the Christmas break. So that's your 1st semester. 2nd semester, you'd have 3 more coursework modules, one of which must be the Research Methods in Applied Linguistics module. That would be 18 hours of classes, 2 hours a week over 9 weeks, plus some online participation in activities and so on. You would then have 2 more modules, optional modules, well, in some cases optional modules, in some cases not. I'll come back to that shortly. You would have 2 classes a week, one of 2 hours in length, another one 1 hour in length over a period of 9 weeks. And again, you've got 20 credits for each of those. Then at the end of semester 1, we move into the summer period. By the time the summer period starts, you will already have been allocated to a dissertation supervisor, and you will be working with him or her towards submission of your dissertation in September. Right, just to give you a little more detail on the specific programs then, sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. The MA TESOL is designed really for students who have little or no professional experience as language teachers. In other words, we don't assume that people joining this program have spent a lot of time teaching English or other languages for that matter before. So it's kind of basic to begin with, but you're expected to get up to speed very, very quickly. The program looks at providing a solid basis in issues of linguistic description, theories of language acquisition and language learning, and issues of language pedagogy, with specific reference to the teaching of English as a foreign or a second language. The MA TESOL program in a normal year looks rather like this. So in the first semester, you would be doing a module called Teaching and Learning Vocabulary, which is basically linguistic description. How do we go about describing the lexical and grammatical, structural, syntactic properties of the English language, but always with one eye on, if you like, and how do we go about teaching those things to learners of the language. Secondly, second language learning and teaching. This covers the basics of language teaching methodology and theories of language acquisition and of language learning underlying language teaching methodology. And thirdly, syllabus and materials design. How do we design a syllabus for the purposes of teaching English? How do we go about designing materials for that purpose? Secondly, in semester two, sorry, like everybody else, you will have to do research methods in applied linguistics. You then also have one further compulsory module, language teaching observation and practice, which is the closest we get. And I should stress that this is an academic program. It's not a practical teacher training program, but language teaching observation and practice is the closest we get to a practical module. It involves a degree of peer teaching. It involves looking at examples of teaching and discussing those. You would then, for your sixth coursework module, you choose one option from a range. I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. We then have the MA in Applied Linguistics with TESOL, and the distinction between this and the straight MA TESOL MA is that this program is designed for students who have experience as language teachers already. In other words, if you don't have and you cannot demonstrate at least 1 year's professional experience, and I mean professional experience, not volunteering, I'm afraid, not internships or whatever, but actual professional experience as a teacher, then you may qualify for this program. This, the content structure of this program, in other words, assumes a certain amount of prior knowledge of language teaching theory and practice, and aims to develop things from there. The MA Applied Linguistics with TESOL, in semester one, you would join students on the language, culture and communication and the applied linguistics programs for your linguistic description module called Describing Language. Sorry, I have this wrong here. Social and psychological aspects of language is wrong. That should read either sociolinguistics. So if you imagine that this is actually 2 modules, you have a choice. Sociolinguistics 1 or psychology of language 2, and your second module you would have to choose between those. Your third module would be to join the MA TESOL people for the module in syllabus and materials design. And then in semester 2, like everyone else, again, you will be doing research methods in applied linguistics, and you would be able to choose 2 options from a range on offer. The MA Applied Linguistics then, this is a very flexible program. There is perhaps more, there is more choice built into this program than any of the others that we teach. It allows you to develop your own interests, if you like, in potentially a number of different areas of linguistics. So while you would have core modules like everybody else, you'd also have quite a lot of choice. This would look in a normal year like this, and this time, thankfully, I've got it right. So in semester 1, MA Applied Linguistics students would do describing language, along with MA Language, Culture, Communication, and the TESOL people. And then they would have a choice of any two of 3 modules: sociolinguistics, psychology of language, discourse, culture, communication. So they can choose any 2 of those 3. Semester 2, again, research methods, and then 2 modules chosen from a range. The MA Language, Culture and Communication aims to provide you with a critical understanding of issues of culture, theories of communication, and I've highlighted this, discursive practices, and to develop expertise in particular areas of discourse studies and so on. I highlight these because I perhaps need to stress that this is not a master's degree in communication studies, nor is it entirely a master's degree in cultural studies. That word language is there for a reason. This is a department of English Language and Linguistics, and there will therefore be a certain amount of linguistics content in this program. So you should be ready for that. The Language, Culture and Communication MA in semester 1, like everyone else, except for the TESOL people, you'd be doing describing language. You would have to do discourse, culture and communication, and you would have to take a module called intercultural communication. Semester 2, again, like everybody else, you'd need to do research methods, and you'd then choose 2 optional modules from a range on offer. And I've got the dates wrong again. Lists of optional modules are provided at the beginning, towards the beginning of the year in which you're actually studying. This should, of course, read 2021 to 22 in your cases. This is a representative list of the kinds of modules that we offer in semester 2. I've highlighted a couple here. You'll notice that language teaching, observation and practice is in yellow. You'll notice also that teacher training is in yellow. The language teaching, observation and practice is highlighted because it is compulsory for MA TESOL students. What that tends to mean actually is that it's not only compulsory for MA TESOL students, but it is taught exclusively for MA TESOL students. Depending on numbers of students that we get, if there are enough MA TESOL students, then that module will be full because they have to do it. I highlight the teacher training one because this assumes a minimum of a year or two's professional experience as a teacher. This, in other words, is about how to train teachers how to teach language. And it assumes that people are experienced teachers themselves. This, therefore, tends to be popular with students on the Applied Linguistics with TESOL program, but it may attract students from other programs who have teaching experience, but they must have teaching experience to take that module for credit. So you have there a list. We have modules in bilingualism, multilingualism in TESOL, business discourse, corpus assisted language learning, corpus linguistics, in English as an international language, issues in intercultural communication, language and gesture, language and new media, language and politics, and so on and so forth. That is not to say that all of those modules will always be on offer every year. as you'll probably see from information on the website, we can, optional modules depend on a range of factors, including, of course, staff availability. If people leave and you know they're the expert in that field, then it may be difficult to offer an option. More than that, though, is levels of student interest. We can't run an optional module if only 1 or 2 or 3 students choose to do it. So there need to be a minimum number of students in most cases in order for us to actually run a module. So that's not necessarily exactly what will be on offer next academic year, but it gives you some idea of the kind of things that we do. In addition to the kind of formal talk program, all students are assigned to a personal tutor at the beginning of the program. The tutor will meet with his or her tutees as a group once a fortnight during term time, right through the academic year, and is also available to talk to tutees during office hours or by appointment.